Hey guys, it's Kirsten Johnson, and I wanted to talk today about getting out of relationships. So the title of this video is Why I Dumped Him, and it's a little cheeky really. I've had a couple of clients who have come to me recently or currently working with me that came to me because they want to get out of relationships or they're in relationships and they're trying to get out of them, and I want to just talk about that for a minute because I think that it's something that a lot of us can face, and it's really common being in a relationship where you know it's not the right relationship. Like your gut is telling you that this isn't the right relationship for you, but you stay in it. And so the question for me becomes not so much why, whether or not to stay. So it's not really about rejecting somebody else, right? Like if I dumped him, like it's more about honoring yourself. Like, what is your spirit saying? What is your gut saying? Have you ever had your gut tell you this is the wrong relationship or this is the wrong anything? Your gut says no. Have you ever regretted listening to your gut? Have you ever regretted ignoring your gut? Right? So it's not, when it comes to like, you know, being in a relationship, it's so hard, right? When our hearts are involved, when it's a matter of the heart, it's really tricky to pick the spirit over the heart sometimes. But ultimately, when you're getting out of a relationship, it's not about rejecting the other person. Like if your gut is saying this is the wrong relationship, it's about accepting yourself. And I think it's a process of self-love. So it's not, the question becomes then why would you stay in a relationship that's not a right fit? Why are, really contemplate this and like think about this. Why would you stay in a relationship that isn't the right fit for you when you know it's not the right fit? Some of us get out of relationships and we look back in hindsight and say, the whole time I knew this relationship wasn't right for me. Like from the beginning, I knew it wasn't right. And the question then is, why did I stay? What was I getting? So if you're in a relationship and it's not the right relationship for you, or you know, or your gut is saying they're not the right relationship, what are you getting? Like honestly, what are you getting out of staying in the relationship? Oftentimes what I found is it's fear of emotional pain, or it's fear of loneliness, fear of being alone. And so the invitation then becomes like, are you willing to love yourself? Are you willing to be with yourself and be with your feelings and be in the whole experience, the human experience, and allow that stuff to come through, and allow yourself to feel whatever you want to feel? Because if you're not willing to be uncomfortable, you're going to be in a lot of situations that aren't true for yourself. Like that's living a life that, you know, you're like nothing, you're never really going to be in a solid relationship or be in the job that you want to be in or live in the place you want to live. And so I would invite you to be willing to be uncomfortable. Like loneliness is just a feeling, and I understand it's a feeling that most of us don't want to feel. And I had my own struggles with loneliness when I was about 2.5 years sober. Like for me, getting sober was like huge. Dating and sobriety, are you kidding me? Having all those feelings, not being able to like drink over them and really face the feelings. And when I was about 2.5 years sober, I hit my knees and I prayed, and I was like, God, I can't handle this. I can't, and if the G word freaks you out, spirit, whatever, but like I cannot handle this feeling of loneliness. Like 3 nights in a row crying about that. And wouldn't you know it, like after like really surrendering to the feeling of loneliness and surrendering to my humanity, right, that it was removed. And since that day, since I was 2.5 years sober, which was 5.5 years ago, I've been okay. I actually don't think I've been lonely since then. Like I've been alone a lot. I've traveled the world alone, but I haven't had that feeling of loneliness that I wasn't able to cope with and deal with. And so if fear of loneliness is driving your life around, so you're staying in relationships or staying in jobs or staying in friendships where you're betraying yourself because it's not true to who you are, it's not true to your spirit, that's something to look at. Like, do you want to be a slave to your emotions, or are you willing to be uncomfortable for the sake of the evolution of your spirit? And for the sake of having a beautiful relationship, and for the sake of creating your life, the life that you actually want to live. And so my invitation always is be willing to be uncomfortable. You know, that's the path of growth. Like anything that we do outside our comfort zone, it's going to be uncomfortable until it's not. So if you are sitting in a relationship right now and you've been on the fence thinking about, this isn't really right for me, but I'm kind of scared to let it go, or I don't know like how to get out of this, or I did take steps to get out of it and now he or she is calling me back and saying, come back, like, are you sure, babe? And you start feeling lonely and you go back to them. I would invite you to take a minute with your spirit, go for a walk in nature, do a little kumbaya, a little namaste, and get clear on what is true for you. What's your truth? What's your spirit say? And if your spirit is like, this is not the right relationship for me, like be willing to be uncomfortable for the sake of you both. I would never want to be with someone who didn't want to be with me because they were afraid to be alone. I mean, right? So the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and the other person is be willing to feel your feelings. Pull on the big girl panties and be willing to feel lonely. Like it's just a feeling. And if you go into it and if you face that feeling of loneliness and you're willing to allow it in your body, like literally guys, it's sensations. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we're not taught how to feel. We're taught to avoid, or at least, in America, we're taught to avoid our feelings, run from our feelings like guilt, shame, anger, loneliness. Now we'll like throw all those aside. I'm going to drink over them or whatever. But then like for someone like me, we get sober and it's like, well, what do I do with these feelings? And so my invitation is always like, be willing to feel those feelings. You will be unstoppable. If you are willing to be uncomfortable, I mean, that's the path to growth. That's the path to being an entrepreneur, to success, to achieving your dreams, is being willing to feel uncomfortable. So give me a heart if you guys are there. I know, like, I didn't really want to make this video today, but I was meditating and it was just like, you need to make this video because there's maybe you're in a relationship. Maybe I'm speaking to you. Maybe you're in a relationship that you don't actually want to be in and you don't know how to get out, And I'm just wondering, like, can you love yourself enough to like feel your feelings, to be honest with yourself, like really tell yourself the truth? I think we lie to ourselves a lot. I mean, I'm probably currently lying to myself in some areas that are unexamined, right? Because that's the nature of the human condition, right? Where, it's easier sometimes to stay in a little bit of denial than to really look at ourselves and tell the truth. But are you in a relationship that's not working for you? Like, is your gut saying leave? And do a journal entry and be like, well, why am I here? What am I getting out of staying? And what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of in my own, like, it's feelings. I mean, it's feelings. And so when we think about it like this, and I want to just break it down like this really quickly, like, what is a feeling? Like, what really is a feeling? It's energy. It's a sensation in our body. Like, I'm having a lot of feelings right now because I'm going live with a stream of why I dumped him, right? So what is it? It's a feeling running through the body. So if I'm able to be with a sensation in my body, I can do anything I want to do. I can be unstoppable. I can go after my dreams. I can leave relationships with love when they're in grace and dignity, when they're not the right relationship, and join relationships, friendships, romantic partners that are the right relationship. If I'm willing to be uncomfortable, if I'm willing to feel my feelings, if I'm willing to feel the sensation in my body. So instead of saying, I don't want to feel this feeling, therefore I'm going to do anything to not feel the feeling, therefore I'm going to be with the wrong person to avoid feeling this feeling that I don't want to feel. Like, I mean, is that how you want to live? Like, when I say it like this, it's probably obvious that of course I don't want to live like that. But I think that most of us don't really think about it. We don't realize that how our unwillingness to be uncomfortable rules our lives and keeps us miserable. Keeps us in situations where we're ignoring our spirit. And it's really hard to ignore that voice for a long period of time, like when our gut starts screaming over time. So yeah, I invite you to be willing to feel emotional pain. Once you get cool with loneliness, you won't feel it anymore. My experience is once I got cool with loneliness, I don't feel it anymore. Once I got cool, like that's what sobriety has been like for me, like this whole emotional sobriety journey. There was a year where it was loneliness, and then it was anxiety first, and then it was anger, and then it was shame and guilt. And so one by one, I befriended my emotions. I embraced my humanity. And when I embrace my humanity, then I'm loving myself. I'm allowing the feelings, I'm allowing the human experience within myself. And when I can allow the human experience within myself, then I can love you and I can accept you. I cannot love you if I don't love me. I cannot accept you if I don't accept me. I have no capability, like for real. And so we start with accepting ourselves. So it's not about dumping somebody else. It's about accepting ourselves. It's about honoring our spirit. It's about loving ourselves. It's about saying yes to ourselves. And from the place of being in aligned with our spirit, we make decisions about who we're with, who we spend our time with, where we live, what jobs we do. So yeah, and it's such an empowering place. Only we can empower ourselves. Like, you're a soul inside a body, you're having a human experience, right? There's energy inside you that is actually you, that is your soul or your spirit. And whether it's not a belief, it's reality. There's an energy, like if when we die, that energy goes somewhere else, or the energy's no longer there, whatever you want to believe, if it goes on or whatever. And so that energy that is you, like, wouldn't it be a cool way to live where you honor that energy and you do more of what lights you up, and you do more of like being in the flow of your spirit and do less of what brings you down and less of what do more of what resonates and less of what dissonance. And so it really comes down to being willing to feel uncomfortable for the sake of your spirit, for the sake of your dream, for the sake of your relationships, for the sake of having love in your life and peace, is being true to yourself. So, yeah, shoot me a heart if you're there. Oh, one more thing I want to say about this. It's God's billboard. God's billboard is not going to be on the side of the road and say, hey, Bob, she's the wrong one. Break up with her. The billboard is it's like right here. That's where God's billboard is. If I wake up every day and I have a feeling, I have an intuitive hit, if I feel that this is the wrong relationship or this is the wrong job, that's God's billboard. That's the message from the world saying this is no longer a fit. This is not a fit. And so when we pray for a message, I think we can often overlook the message. And the message is that if it feels wrong, it is wrong. You know, like if I feel every day that this isn't working for me, maybe it's not working for me. And it's not to say that to not stay in a relationship and try to work it out, but it's to give some thought and give some, time in nature and consider, like, am I willing to feel uncomfortable? Like, is this a yes for me? Am I afraid? Am I letting fear drive me around? Am I waking up and getting in a car and having fear of loneliness drive me around all day? Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, these different fears. Or am I willing to feel it all and be free and be a spirit floating around and do my thing and just like in the pursuit of love and peace and all of that good stuff? So, yeah. And so for me, ultimately, the reason why I would get out of a relationship personally is because it's not in my gut's saying it. My spirit is saying this is not a fit. That's why I would get out of a relationship. It's not about rejecting the other person. It's about accepting myself, which is a way to accept the other person as well. Hey, babe, this isn't working. Like, love you, but like, I'm getting a no. Like, bless you. And, but my spirit is saying no. And that's the most loving thing that you can do, is honor your spirit and honor somebody else's by treating the yeses as yeses and the nos as nos and not wasting people's time. So, woo! So if you are in the middle of it and you are, facing this in yourself and you're in a marriage that you're not sure if it's working, or if you're dating somebody, or you're thinking about dating somebody, or you're in some sort of committed relationship, like, I have never known that it was a no and stayed and then figured out that it was actually a yes. Like, it doesn't really change. It hasn't for me. And so I would invite you to look at your own experience. Have you ever been in a relationship that you knew wasn't a right fit, and then later down the line, you knew that same relationship was? So the gut doesn't lie. Like, that's not the nature of the gut. Like, the gut is like a truth bomb. That's how I look at it. So examine your own experience, your own relationship with your gut and your intuition. And so, yeah. So be willing to be uncomfortable. Look at, if you're staying and you know it's a no, why are you staying? What are you afraid of? Get underneath. Okay, I'm afraid of being alone. Why? Why am I afraid of being alone? Because it's uncomfortable. Why? Why am I afraid of being uncomfortable? Because I'm sober now and I can't drink to get over it, or whatever the reason is. Go underneath. Ask yourself, why are you afraid of that? Why are you afraid of that? Why is that scary? Why is that scary? And get down to the bottom of it. Otherwise, you're going to live your life ruled by fear. And I think once we become aware of that, and you might already be, I don't know, maybe this video isn't for you and it's for your friend, right? Because I just meditated and was like, oh, you need to talk about relationships and being in the wrong one. So yeah, be willing to be uncomfortable, and then you can do anything. You'll be unstoppable, and there's nothing more beautiful than a spirit lit up, right? That's the nature of what we really are. That's who we really are. That's what we really are. So I love you guys. Hope you're having a beautiful day, and trust yourself, trust your gut. All right, bye.